Oh, it's time for the good hands.
All right, guys. And now it's time for our good hands moments presented by Allstate.
New guy doesn't believe in throwing up the good hands. That's fine.
I don't. All right, I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. All right.
De'Von Achane this season has 30 carries for 460 yards. He went off again today. He seems unstoppable. He seems like the fastest running back since Chris Johnson. How does the emergence of De'Von Achane change what you think of the ceiling for this Dolphins offense?
I don't know that it changes what I think of the ceiling of this Dolphins offense at all. And I understand that they were not great. I think they're 19th in rushing efficiency last season and still were a pretty dynamic offense. They're second in efficiency this season. And I guess they're a more dynamic offense and kind of scary. But I think what De'Von Achane is doing, and I don't want to disrespect him or any other running back, but when you look at it, he's seeing a lot of light boxes. This all kind of feels like Tyreek Hill effect or Waddle effect, Tua effect. And I think that maybe, I mean, no disrespect to Tua either when I talk about this team, but it feels a lot like they are, I have to phrase this properly, not that they are benefiting from this system, but this system is perfectly tuned to highlight their abilities because Tua's really good at certain things. And I think that this offense accentuates those things. And the same thing is true of De'Von Achane. And so like his big run today, it's a light box and everyone gets their body on someone. There's no like great blocks and he gets to the second level. And then he just races the safety and outruns his angle to the corner, which is incredible and impressive. But it feels like you can drop him just about anywhere else. You're not going to get that result.
Yeah, the stats that they're putting up are unbelievable. And it, obviously, like, I think everybody saw that Field Yates saying a couple weeks ago about the speed and how the top 6 instances of guys running over 21 miles per hour were all Dolphins. That continues unabated. Like, it's now like the top 10 instances, and it's still all of these guys. They set a record. Mostert and Achane have 7. They're the first duo with 7 yards from scrimmage. Excuse me. They're the first duo with 7 touchdowns from scrimmage in the first 5 games since 1966. Bob Hayes and Dan Reeves did it. And so like, this is not, it reminds me a little bit of like the Lamar Jackson MVP year where like all of the stats, because nobody runs the ball anymore, all of the stats were like breaking the 1948 like Cleveland Rams records. Like that's what we're dealing with now with this Dolphins offense. And so I don't think it changes. It just shows you that there's more depth. They can survive it. Like the conversation we had about the Bills earlier where we're like, I don't know, Matt Milano, he goes, like, the Dolphins can afford 3 injuries and they'd still have the fastest guy in the NFL. Like, that's astounding.
Yeah, I know this is about the Dolphins, but the Milano injury is huge because the point you were making earlier. So yes. Milano's the guy who stops those runs from happening. And yes. It's not to say that no one else can do it, but everyone else is going to have a much harder time doing that without Matt Milano. And this seems like a team that they're going to have to get past, if not in their division, also in the playoffs at some point. But back to the Dolphins, they're so fun to watch. It does feel like anytime anyone, they're like a certain, I don't know, there are 10 or so players in the league, not including the Dolphins players, where when they get the ball in their hands, you get excited. You're like, oh, something's going to happen. Yeah. They got them all on their team. Like, there's nobody who catches the ball where I'm like, all right, let's get 5 yards. Everyone who catches the ball, I'm like, or they hand it to someone like, this might go to the crib. It's kind of a fun way to play football.
I think Chase Claypool is going to work there because he's fast and big, and they're just going to put the ball in his hands. He's going to do stuff, and Mike McDaniel's not going to let him undermine the coaching staff because he'll be busy scoring 11 touchdowns for the rest of the season. Here, dude. Here's a football.
Yeah,
stop
he
complaining.
won't complain if he
go run.
Can I rephrase the question I had about Achane? Because it's not, I think I phrased it. Achane's been incredible. Obviously, he looks like an incredibly special one-cut runner. But I think what I was trying to get at with this, which is a more interesting discussion, is last year they had the 19th best rushing attack in the NFL. Now it's like top 2 with the bullet with San Francisco. And I think there are limitations to what we think Tua can do arm strength-wise. I don't know if we totally trust him on a play-to-play basis as an elite quarterback. But if this is a team that's rushing for 250, 300 yards week after week after week, does that change how you view this offense? Because to me, that actually does. It's stylistically different than we thought it was after the first 2 weeks of the season and what we thought it was last year.
Yeah, just bringing up Tua's performance last year, and I feel like I'm jumping around from topics to topics, reminds me that the Ravens blew a couple games last year that they should have won also, so maybe this is the Ravens. But
now
anyway.
You see why I got aggressive about the Ravens topic, because we just randomly popped into a Ravens topic about this.
I mean, because whatever. Anyway, they did blow that game against them, and then they had that one against the Raiders last year. It was nonsense. So I guess the Ravens are a team that blows fourth quarter games. But yeah, your question about Tua and Achane.
All of it. This is a team with 2,600 yards through 5 games.
So, I mean, being flexible, being versatile, obviously is something that helps.
Yeah.
But I do think that these things are connected.
Yeah.
I don't think that they have a running attack that will survive if you load the box. So, like, if something happens so that the offensive air attack is being undermined, they're not going to be able to run against loaded boxes and just overpower people. I think this is a result of it being a very well-tuned machine. And right now, like to your point, maybe they have enough people, enough parts, if something breaks, that they can put someone else in. Maybe Mostert can do a similar version of that. Maybe, and we saw when they were down Waddle, Tyreek Hill was enough to still be incredibly dangerous and score 50 points against the Broncos. So, like, I'm not saying that it can't work, but I am saying that I don't believe that this rushing attack is one that can be the centerpiece of the offense without the threat of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, football to me is about problem solving and having as many avenues towards that as possible. And so if you like, one of the great things, the reason the Bengals have been so successful for the past 3 years until this year was that they could, okay, Joe Burrow, best deep passer in 2021, they take it away, he becomes the best short passer in 2022, right? And so eventually someone's going to figure out, even though it's the most simple offense in the world as far as we're just going to put fast guys in space and let them overrun the secondary, someone's going to figure out a way to do something against it. And then what's your next pitch? And I think having a running game guards against that. You said if they start loading the box, that starts to change. But I think generally, like, it's going to be really hard for a defense to stop both. And that's why I think, Charlie, you're right. Like, there's a new dimension here that even though we're taking for granted how efficient this thing is, like it is new. This wrinkle is new.
Yeah, no one's gonna load the box because that means you're leaving Tyreek Hill out there on an island in isolation. Right. And I would say that
Jalen Waddle,
traditionally, that loading the box is when you do give up the big runs. While the success rate is a lot lower, the big runs happen when you don't have two safeties back there. So it still could work in their favor, where they would just be more of a boom and bust running attack. So this team is a competitor. So we'll see. As long as the defense can get better, and they'll get better when Jalen Ramsey comes back, I think that they've proven in this, like, I was going to say jumble of the AFC, but it feels like the whole league is like a jumble, that they've proven that they are good enough to be competitive on any given Sunday. How you like that football
love
cliche?
That. I love cliches.